welcome to the AdoreKnit Podcast. I'm your host, Steph, also known as the Knitting Samurai on Ravelry and AdoreKnit Steph on Instagram. We've got company with me today, very talkative. I don't know what kind of bird it is, but has a lot to say. And we're outside again and in an awkward position because I wanted to be under the shade of the big maple. So, happy Saturday. I hope you've had a great week. Let me just tell you what's going to be in the show today. So I have some new projects to share with you, some in progress, some finished options, Cal chatter, so knit along talk, some new yarn, and then life stuff. And you can see right now I'm wearing my new tie-dyed shirt. More on that later. So I'm also wearing my Shift. This is the smaller of the Shift cowls by Andrea Mowry. I knit mine out of Feederbrook Farm Entropy DK in the variance color. That's what most of this is. And then I also have some String Theory DK, that's the red, in Black Cherry. And these are my disgusting fingers. I'm sorry. I don't like to wear gloves. Even when I dye my hair, I don't like to wear gloves. And tie-dye was not kind to me yesterday. So, that's it. Let's talk. Okay, so what's new on the needle? So last time I told you about the two shawls I was thinking about knitting, and I immediately proceeded to cast on something completely different because why did I do that? I was kind of dragging my feet on finishing off my blanket, right? Because I wanted to get it done today so it would count towards 3 different cowls. And so I was kind of goofing off and working on the Wanda socks and scrolling through Ravelry, and I saw the new Stephen West pattern. It's called Spring Cleaning Shawl. And I think I can show you my color picture. Sorry, it's got some notes on it. I didn't print out the front page of the pattern because I didn't need it. All I really need is to know what order to knit things in and what colors. So it's altogether it's 407. It's a 1,300 yard fingering weight shawl, but it does use 7 different colorways, and you need about 100 yards of 5 of them. So it seems like a fast way to go. And I cast on. I wanted to use so I went rummaging through the bag of sun-soaked yarn and fiber knit dye works that I put together last week, and I pulled out a skein of You're So Scrooged. I actually pulled out a lot of skeins, and I spent an evening trying to match up what I wanted. But I thought for that first color, it would be fun to use a self-striping. So I did, because I love self-striping skeins, and I knit socks, but then you have all this leftover, right? My last Desert Vista pair used half a skein, so I've got a lot of leftovers, and I haven't knit socks with this yet, but preemptively using up the leftovers before I knit the socks. So you can see, I love the start of it. And so I matched that with this, which is similar to the tealish color. I'm never gonna be able to hold all of these up on the screen. Maybe I'll slap in a photo. I've got this electric. This one is Miss Babs. This one is Inspiration Dye Works. I have a sweater's worth of this, so I'm pulling out 100 yards out of that sweater. But I'm okay with that because I don't need as much yarn to knit sweaters anymore. I'm down 42 pounds so far. And keto for life. And then this skein of Fiber Knit Dye Works, I showed you that last week, is going to be part of it. This skein of, I don't remember, maybe it's holiday yarn, something I got at Rhinebeck, and it's labeled in my stash. So when I get to incorporating this color, I will use it. It's pretty similar to this one, but out here in the Not My House light, I could see that this is more of a green color, green black, and this is more of a royal blue color. I mean, they're both variegated, but this one I knit a baby hat for Tristan out of, and it beautifully matched his blue eyes. So, and then lastly, I'm going to use a skein of Miss Babs in pewter, which is my absolute favorite gray color of all time. So, oh, and I did pull out another skein of Fiber Nymph that it's on our Sunshine base. It's a different base. All of these that I'm holding, including this is just another skein of pewter. It's a, yeah, I really like pewter. All of them are on that hard twist base. Can you see? I hope it's focusing on that. And this is the Sunshine base, which is a different, it's, I don't know, maybe it's like 4-ply and the others are 2. I'm just throwing that out there, I'm just guessing. But it is a very similar shade of red, so I didn't want to have to eat in too much into my self-striping skein to pull out the reds to use for edging and whatnot. So when I needed to do a contrast, like I made it about halfway across this red row right there, and then I ran out and I started using this. And so this may make an appearance just for little contrast bits as needed, not in a whole section, because the shawl is knit the way he the colors he said I don't think line up with what he actually did on the pattern, because you can see at these transitions there's a different color and each one is different, but in the pattern he calls for it all to be the same. So mine may be red through all of it, which I think will be really nice, or it may not. We'll see how I feel as I'm going. So, but it is a lovely shawl to knit so far. Garter, squishy garter, and we have that eyelet section, and I really like it so far. So this will hang right here in front. I think it's gonna be fun. It goes really well with what I'm wearing. So that is new on my needles this week. Oh, I have another new thing. 2 new things. So nice to be finally into Stash Dash and the Splash Pad Party, to be able to just like, okay, I'm finishing it up, get it off the needles. So the other new projects I have, it's June 1st, so time to cast on. And I brought this to soccer this morning, and so I have 2 projects riding in one bag. It's very disorganized. It's not like me at all to be like this. There we go. Oh, and did I say I'm knitting this on size 5s? The shawl is on size 5s with fingering weight yarn. So here it is. Here's the start of my Lighthouse. So this is going to be my June Desert Vista Dye Work sock colorway. I'm sorry for my fingers again. I'm very aware of them. And it's great. I hand wound this, and so as I was winding it, I noticed that there's like this coral color, which is beautiful, and then 2 shades of gray, and then there's a stripe that is pink, purple, yellow, orange, variegated. So I can't wait to get to that one. But that's the start of it, and I knit my socks on size 0s, which are 2mm needles. Yay! New month, new sock. And I have a plan for that sock. So the last 2 pairs, well, the last 3 pairs of socks I've knit have been Partying Up and Getting Down by Megan Williams, and I love that pattern, but I want to do something a little bit different. So this was free. I'm sorry, I don't know who the pattern is, but I'm not following the pattern. I'm just going with the color work chart. So there's the color work I'm gonna do, and I've broken off a bit of it separate. So my plan is to do the color work. We'll see how it goes, right? Mixing in, so I'll have the gray in the coral section and the gray in the variegated section and the reverse of those. So we'll see if it goes. If it doesn't, I'll know after a few rows and I can change it. But that's my plan, to keep it somewhat interesting but not make it too challenging so that I won't want to knit on it, because I'm kind of into mindless socks as a general theory. Right now I'm knitting this for, so the plan right now is to knit those for myself, but I could also see giving them away if I decide someone is needing them. So that's what's new. Oh, I got a little tickle in my throat. Okay, what's on the needles? Let's see, in this bag that I so love. the Wanda socks. So last week I was here. So this is also Partying Up Getting Down. It's a skein of opal and a skein of, there's the opal for this one, and a skein of Patton's Croix. And the blues were too close together, so I'm striping in the brown. And you can see I have my, it's a work in progress, but so is life, which is a Doctor Who quote, progress keeper on there. So that's how far, what I added, about 3 inches. And that's what the front of the sock looks like. So you can really see the V's of the pattern striping, putting in the brown stripes. You could not see them very well with the, just the solid blue chunk. And not only did I put about 4 inches on that, I cast on and knit the entire leg, or foot, leg, cuff, no heel, toe, heel to come, of the second one. So I'm so excited. I was using this as a, after my DVD socks for May were finished, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna pick away at this because these are a gift for a friend that's coming in September. So I need to have them done by September. So it's not like a pressing deadline, but so first one's done. I put this adorable little llama who says be yourself. And all the progress keepers I show you can find at the shop AdoreKnits. No update this week, but AdoreKnits on Etsy. Yeah, so I put that in to mark when I started unbiasing the yarn because I did it mid color change, and in the past it's helpful for me to know at what point, like, stop following the pattern, pay attention, and start unbiasing. So there it is. I like the blacks, the self-patterning parts. That's of course my favorite. I don't know how well black and brown go together on the same sock, but whatever. So, and I'm gonna do a size 8 or an 8.5 for this. So I think it'll be about there, and she'll have a decent size cuff. So that's my thinking. And I got 3, no, I didn't get 3 full repeats. Did I? Well, yeah, I did. Because that's how the blue, that's 2 different colors of blue right there, and that's how it would have looked if I hadn't broken it up with the brown lower down. So, almost done. But now it's gonna, these are gonna get back burnered while I work on the new June socks. So, there's that. Oh, I have a skein of yarn out. And then, that can only mean I have finished objects. I know, drawing attention to my fingers when I'm very self-conscious about them. That wasn't a great idea. Okay, so first, since I've mentioned them, my DVDs, these are, I think I had the tubes done, I just needed heels. So last weekend, I put in some heels. I did 2 row stripes of 2 colors for both of the heels, just because I really like I think it makes it just so much more interesting to have the little stripes on here. I could see doing them on the toe too, but yeah. So they're pretty darn close to twinsies, and I'm quite happy with them. These I knit in an 8.5, and these are my large, I think these are Loopy U blockers. So I've definitely been stretching them to get stretching the socks as they were waiting for me to finish, but look at how nice they look all stretched. I still have to wash and block them, and I will, but I'm very pleased with these. I think they're quite pretty, if I may say so myself. And they are knit with zeros, 2mm needles. I'm a loose knitter, so they're not like super dense or anything. And they're a gift knit, so yay! Now I just need to collect some bits and bobs, and I'll be ready to send these off after blocking. So there's that. You didn't see this, but now it's done, so now you can see it. I've been working on my northeasterly blanket for the Binding Off Blankets cowl, and as a gift for a friend. And I finished it, or almost finished it, and thought I need a coordinating hat to make this gift a finished gift set, to make it feel like, I don't know, I just felt like the blanket wasn't quite enough. And plus, everybody loves a cute hat. So even if she doesn't really use the blanket, she'll at least put the hat on him, I hope. So here it is. I did a hybrid. So I used the stitch count from stitch count and measurements from the Barley Hat by Tin Can Knits. Great basic hat pattern. All of their patterns, they're free for the basic ones, and it's a great way if you're a new knitter to learn to do things. They're very clear. I ended up, so I followed their stitch count, and then I broke it up into 4 sections and did the patterning of the northeasterly blanket so that it would match. And this was all I had left of the gray, the light gray, and I just tried to make them look like it would coordinate and go together. My bind-offs were a little weird at the top. I followed the instructions, sort of, but tried to keep the V shape, so he may have little nubs on the top, or I might try and block it out if I put a balloon in there. But then I don't want to stretch it because it's garter and it's super stretchy, so it should fit him. I made the baby size, which in my house that would have been like the newborn size, but I don't get the sense that the baby is exceptionally large. Yeah, I don't even think he was 8 pounds when he was born. So there's the hat in all its cuteness. I love it. And here is the blanket. It hasn't been blocked yet, but my ends are woven in. Look at that. So wonderful. And here it is. I hope you could see it. So I think it's a really good size. I haven't measured it. Do I have a measuring tape with me? I'll measure it later. I don't need to make you watch me measure it, but yeah. So this is the end of each row, the finished part. So this was my first column, this was my last column. The middle, my first column is longer than the others, but I don't know why or how I did it, because I attached every column the same way. So I don't know why this one would have been longer, but it does. So I'll just do some blocking. I knit this with Karen Cakes and the colorway Zucchini Loaf. I used US 8s, which is a 5mm. For the hat, I used US 5s because I wanted the V's to be smaller, more in proportion, and which that's a 3.75mm. So really happy to have it done. The binding off blankets cal ends tomorrow, so I finished in time for that, which was my goal, and this will count towards Stash Dash and the splash pad party. So excited. So I think that makes a really nice set. So let's talk about cals for a minute, because that's what I'm up to. So the binding off blankets, you have one more day to finish. So I'm not going to do prize drawings. I'm looking for something to knit while I talk to you. I'm not going to do prize drawings right now. I'm going to wait one more week to let everybody get their finished object pictures up in the thread, and then I'll do the prize drawings. So we have 2 prizes for that, so hopefully you speed toward the finish. And actually, when you see this, it'll probably be past. So hopefully everybody got it done. So there's that. As I mentioned, the splash pad party, which is hosted by Downseller Studios, has started. I am one of the sponsors for that, so I need to make sure that my projects use the I like the hibiscus marker keeper, so I need to put that on my stuff. And then so that's going on. That's a shorter one hosted by Jen. And then the Stash Dash has started. If I could get this going here, has started, and I already have, so counting those 3 projects, I have 921 meters towards my finished 5,000 meters. So I'm excited about that, to be a 5th done by like week 2. We'll see. I have some good planning, and I do have 2 sweaters that I'm hoping to bang out here in the next few weeks. But I also want to knit that shawl, and then the other 2 I talked about last time. So the trees are dropping stuff all over the place. I hope I don't have any in my hair, because it's that season where they send down those annoying things, and then the helicopters are going to start falling too. So So that's it for knit-alongs. I think we're going to take a little break in the group because I'm going to be all focused on Stash Dash for a while. So moving on to life stuff. Move on and talk about what I'm reading, listening to, and then we'll talk about life stuff. So first up, I've been listening to the American Storytellers podcast. It's great. Can I just say that? I think they were on their 13th season, so there's definitely a backlog to check out. It's an audio podcast. The narrator has a great voice. I don't know, I just really like his voice for some reason. And it's a dandelion. It's not a green snake. I don't need to freak out. I'm sitting down on the lawn. Normally I would be up on my deck where nothing could get me. So the podcast also has reenactments, which are good, and there's some sound effects to go along with it. But the part that intrigues me the most about the show is that it is world events or major events, history, that is told from the perspective of the people, not from the ruling government or the people in power. So it's cool. It's very cool. And the first one I listened to was about Ebola and the 2014 outbreak, which, hello, I was an adult then, but I didn't pay attention to the news at that point, so I didn't know the ins and outs of it. I just knew that there was a woman in Maine that had it. But to hear the podcast, it's told from like the patient zero and how he transported it and then it switches to, okay, now you're the police officer and now you're the nurses, and it's just cool. So I highly recommend it. Go check it out. It's called American Storytellers. In addition, I'm still working on Plain Jane, so I'm enjoying that. And I restarted listening to The Hobbit, or re-listening. So when I was in college, my sophomore, junior year, Steve was like, hey, you should read The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. At that time, I was working at a gym at the front desk, and so it was great for me. I worked there all through college because I did my homework while I checked people in, and some of my best friends I made at that gym, so that was kind of cool. And it prompted me to lose a bunch of weight because I started working out, and I had definitely gained the freshman 15 plus. But anyways, so I was looking for things to read. I read a bunch of Asimov, and Steve mentioned The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, which he had read, but I had never read. I'd seen the Hobbit movie, and it kind of scarred me as a kid, so I was like, But I devoured the books one summer, all 4 of them, because I think of The Hobbit as but a continuation, right? And so it's been 15 years. No, it hasn't. It's been 12 years. It's long enough that I don't remember all the ins and outs and the details of it. So, yeah, it's fun to revisit an old friend like that. Because I don't often, once I listen to something, I'm done. I don't go back. So I'm also thinking about picking up the 3rd of Mr. Mercedes books. So that's the same thing. It's it's 3 books. It's a trilogy written by Stephen King. Very good. I've listened to the first 2. I love them. Like police procedural. Procedural. Nope. Anyways. Yeah, I couldn't put it down because I love the way he writes anyways. And so he published another one, a different book, right? It was not labeled as related to the Mr. Mercedes line, but it took one of the main characters and used her in the other book. I can't remember what the name of the other book was. Anyways, so I read that and I liked it, but it told me what's going to happen in the 3rd one. Some of the characters die in the 3rd one, and so I was like, well, I don't want to do that. If I just ignore it, he will never die if I don't watch it. It's the same thing with Moulin Rouge. I've only seen it all the way through once because I don't like that she dies at the end. Spoiler, sorry. So if I watch it, I watch until 3/4. Oh, they're happy in love. Turn it off. Plus, that's when the best song is. Anyways, I'm rambling. Okay. So with us, yeah, we had a great weekend last weekend. We had a house full of people, and we went to the beach, and we went to the bounce trampoline place to show my aunt what the boys love to do, and we did some shopping and did a lot of cooking, which is fine. I was happy to do it, and we had a blast being together. Yeah, the facials didn't happen. I was sad about that, but what can you do? We were pretty tired, and the boys were up late, and it was just like everybody just went to bed. But we did have a fun time all sleeping upstairs together. So there's that. And then this week, Tristan wanted to tie-dye, right? So he's home with me on Fridays, and I got him, we went swimming. Helicopters, baby helicopters now. We went swimming in the morning, and then on the way back, he was like, I have to tie-dye. I have to tie-dye. I have to tie-dye. So we stopped. Joann's was having a crazy sale, like, I don't know, 60% off, 40% off, 50% off one item, like all those coupons, and then they had $10 off total and whatever. And of course they're tricky, and it doesn't apply to your sale stuff. So the tie-dye was on sale, like the whole store is on sale, so you can't use those big coupons on very much. But I did go snag 2 skeins of Patton's Croy. I've had this yarn before. I knit, this may have been the first baby knit I knit for my children when I knew I was pregnant and having a child. I didn't know if it was going to be a boy or a girl, and I knit a baby sweater, and our first family pictures of Steve and I and Roland, he's wearing this sweater. So I have wonderful memories of this yarn. Wearing a sweater in it. So I'm not repurposing the yarn, obviously, but I think I would like to have a pair of socks for me as a memory for these. So when the Wandas are done, I'll cast these on, or these will become car socks. So this is, it's the effects, it's not the stripe. So it just slowly shifts, and it's marled, and it looks like hand spun. So I like that one. But anyways, we got a tie-dye kit as well. He wanted to get the pinks and the aqua, and I was like, you know what, hun, let's just get the primary colors and we can mix it. So we turned it more into a color theory, if you will, and we looked up a bunch of techniques, and we did 5 shirts because I already had a couple white shirts that for the boys, so we did 5 shirts. And I bought a blue shirt for myself because I didn't really want a white shirt, like white base. And so this technique was supposed to run down the body, but as you can see, it kind of, the color stopped here, but that's okay. But it did go down my side. So I put it on, and Steve's like, you look like you have overflowing armpits. It's okay. I made it with my boy. He's happy. Yeah, so we did that. We did one for my mom, 2 for Tristan, 1 for Roland, and 1 for Steve. And they're all different, and it was super fun to do, and it was a great way to spend a Friday afternoon. And so when we were finished, we had them all in little baggies, and that evening we went for a school picnic at Rose School. I love that they do this at the end of the year. They just invite all the parents to come, or all the families to come, and you RSVP so they know how much food to get. And it's really like the parents sit around and eat and talk, and the kids run and play together. So it's great. So this year, when we filled out the RSVP, we're vegetarians, right? I've told you this. And Steve thought I was so rude for writing this, but there's no place for comments, but I just wrote it on there. It's like, you know, maybe consider leaving off the onions. I don't know any kids that like onions, because the last 2 years they've had like Moe's subs, and they're full of onions, and like, so we especially hate onions in this house unless they're fried. And lo and behold, there were no onions in anything last night. It was a small victory for us. So we were happy. I think that's it. No onions. No onions for us. Okay, that's it for this week. I just want to say thank you so much for watching. If you're enjoying this podcast, please like and subscribe and hit the notification button so that you find out when new ones are coming. Of course, I'm talking about all that on YouTube. If you watch on iTunes, then yeah, just subscribe. And yeah, enjoy your summer knitting. Summer knitting is my favorite time for knitting. I know it's weird because usually it's fall when all the new bright stuff comes. Not bright, but all the new yarns are released in those jewel tones, because I do love jewel tones, but summer knitting is just so cheery and happy, and it's all smaller projects because it's got to be something you can transport with you. And I'm never knitting a sweater in the summer. It's too hot, and sweaters are usually a gray or navy for me. Those are, yeah, gray, navy. They're darker colors, right? Because they're a bigger part of my wardrobe, so I want it to be more basic so it matches more. And that's more winter knitting for me, winter, spring. So I do love summer knitting, and I hope you do too, and you're knitting something fun. All right, take care. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hey Tristan, you ready?
Yep.
Okay, what did we just do?
We went to Joann's.
What did we get?
We got tie-dye.
And which one are you gonna make?
This one.
That one? Nice. Honey, vertical,
no,
like this, like this.
Oh, I'll explain.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Which one's your favorite?
This one and my other one, which is this one, right?
Yeah. So
These
who?
two.
Okay, but I think the one with red and green is from MA.
This one?
Yeah. No.
This one?
Yep.
This one.
That's yours. Yep.
These two.
Yep. And there's mine.
This is yours.
That's Daddy's. And that's Rona's. Let's see how they turn out.
This is yours.
I know how my fingers turned out.
Ah! Chocolate cupcake!
Okay, you gotta open it up. Just set it down and open them up. Are your hands good? You gotta take the elastics off.
You do it.
This was your scrunchy one. Wait. Nice. That's the front.
This is that.
Yeah.
I like it.
Okay.
Let's look at mine next.
I like that one. The orange and
It's not upside down.
that one's cool.
Yeah, because we did the whole back and the whole front kind of.
Let me see the front. Cool, Tris. I like that one a lot. In the bucket. That one's been made.
Let's look at my man.
Oh!
What was hers?
It was the spiral.
Hers.
Does it look like a spiral?
Let's-
Wow.
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
love it.
yeah, because look at all the paint's going sideways.
Cool.
And she don't go sideways.
And this
Go